Welcome. Introduce yourself. Go ahead.
My name's Alex Stein. I'm considered one of the sexiest men in conservative politics. And one thing I want to say, a lot of people are going to hear my testimony and you're going to say you're anti-LGBTQ. I want to say that's impossible because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. So obviously I have a lot of gay pride. But, you know, a lot of conservatives like yourself, you want to outlaw transgenders in women's sports. I disagree. I like transgenders in women's sports because you can gamble on them and win money. You know, I won so much money on Leah Thomas's propeller in that pool. I almost turned draft kings, into draft queens. And, you know, I actually like transgenders in the military, too, because, first of all, transgenders are some of the meanest people on planet Earth. So they'd make a good soldier, don't you think? And then, you know, second of all, transgenders love to do mass shootings. So, you know, that's perfect for a military veteran. And then on top of that, the suicide rate is incredibly high among transgender people. So we could just use them like the Taliban has suicide bombers. Maybe you guys can actually, you know, if you commit suicide, actually help us in the battlefield. So that would be good. So I think we need transgenders in the military and women's sports. Now, when we come to the bathroom bill, though, this is an asymmetrical problem because, first of all, no dude cares if like a bisexual woman comes in there and tries to use like a pee funnel. You know, some lady boy comes in there, some, you know, stud comes in there, wants to pee in the urinal. No guy's going to be threatened by, you know, a trans woman. But we don't want these gargoyles in a dress, you know, some chick with a dick coming in there and trying to pee or poop next to my girlfriend because that's disgusting. And, well, I was going to say something. Listen, I have my First Amendment right. Let me just speak. So we're sick of these transgenders trying to invade women's personal spaces. These people have autogynephilia. They're sexual perverts, and they actually get satisfaction from going there and looking under a stall. So these are mentally ill people that are on hormones, that are on all kinds of pills. They're impulsive, and they do not belong in a women's restroom. So if some of you lesbians want to come in and pee next to me, you're more than welcome. So we just don't let the chicks with dicks in the women's room, and you guys are all welcome in the men's room. I think that works. So.
This dude is out of control. Alex Stein, man. He did this as well tonight. He was on a roll.
We just watched the speaker gavel out with a whole lot of anger, Kelly. Here's the state of play. Here's
MSNBC sucks.
Hey, how are you?
MSNBC sucks. MSNBC sucks.
Okay. Sometimes this happens, and we understand that can happen. And while we love free speech,
that can happen. Whoop, 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 whoop. Oh my God, that's just too freaking funny. Alex Stein, man, he's unbelievable. What a pair of cojones that guy's got on him. Whew. I remember when he was going around like chasing AOC down, being like, my big booty Latina girl. Unbelievable. Well, welcome, guys. Welcome tonight. Hey, so before we get started, hey, hit that like, subscribe. I appreciate you. You're the best. Listen, I got away. I'm back from a little weekend getaway at the lake. Enjoyed myself. Got to clear my head, re-energize. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to be. And officially tonight, I am calling this show nightly. I'll still be the Ace Report, but nightly this show is going to be called Pre-Censored because I get shadow banned all the freaking time. It's like, and I, you know, playing Alex Stein clips, I'm just waiting to get censored. So you know what? Might as well go with it. So from now on, the live show at night will be pre-censored because YouTube hates me. And that's okay. That's okay. It's a good place to be. So pre-censored nightly, welcome. Send a like if you like the name. I thought it was kind of fun, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. Tonight we're gonna talk about Trump and MAGA and Republicans taking out the trash, starting with the one and only Jasmine Crockett. We got Russiagate major updates, like crazy major updates. So I got a really interesting little blurb on XRP at the end, something I saw and heard today. So I'm going to share that by the end as well. And we're just going to do what we do, go through the news that either everybody's not talking about or most people aren't talking about the right way. And we're going to break it down here in a way that the media hates so much. They're going to, they try to keep my show from growing, and that's okay. That's okay. Moody says the late show isn't being used anymore. You could use that. I totally should steal that, shouldn't I? I should just be the new Late Show and take over for Colbert. American Eagle sales going through the roof. MAGA, yeah, baby. Okay, so let's get Trump's take on that. So today, Trump weighed in on the whole Sydney Sweeney thing. This is just great.
Actress Sydney Sweeney could not speak in that she was a registered Republican. Any thoughts on that?
That who was?
Sydney Sweeney. She's like a very hot actress right now.
She's a registered Republican? Oh, now I love her ass. Is that right? Is Sydney Sweeney? You'd be surprised at how many people are Republicans. That's what I wouldn't have known, but I'm glad you told me that. If Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
I swear, we do not deserve this man, the greatest president of my lifetime, and it's not even close. Greatest president of the since Lincoln. I'm more and more convinced of that by the day. He's unbelievable. All right. Well, hey, before we get started, let's do some shout outs here. Let's see who's in the crowd. First, let's give Rumble a shout out. Little Rumble staying alive, but some true believers are over there. We got AZ Tropic. What's up, man? And Lochtfeld, what's going on? What is up, my friends over there on Rumble? And let's see on YouTube. Good crowd tonight. What's up on YouTube? Moody, you're number one right now. Moody Waters, US1, how's it going? Donald Bolio, what's up? Been a bit since I've seen you. Texas Lone Star with his predictions. We'll talk about that in a minute. Alan Agajanian, what's up? US1 Tahoe, Steve Bernard, D6 Report, Wago Waco, Joe Scarpazia, Barefoot by DC, Chad Youngkin, Randy Atwell, Candace Morrison, Donkey in the channel's shop. You got the signal I'm on? Well, that's excellent. Vince Felice, BN Pro, Scott Volkovich, Heidi Moga, Lockup, what's up, man? Mahalo. Michael Tucker, Trader Grows, how's it going? Stony Bones, Dean Jennings. Will American Eagle go on a run like AMC and GameStop? I don't know how, if American Eagle is super shorted or not, but it might be a nice little trade. It already has been, honestly. Johnny Strayhorn, Hero at Large, Bills Mafia, what's going on? Jordan, Dan Randall, they're putting Sydney Sweeney in Fortnite now. Oh my goodness. It's getting out of control. Sarah Gibson, thank you so much. I did have a good weekend. Ronald Madonna, JJ Jackson, Armand, what's up, man? King Gerald, I'm moving up in the hours. I'm trying to get a little more consistency in my show. Chris McGinnis, RK Opal, Ape Fathers, Man Chow, what's up, man? Roaring Kitty follower, got more Finger and American Eagle today. I like it. Fingers, a lot of these stocks, we've been having a rough time in a lot of the stocks we've been chasing. I hear you on that. But you could look at it as they're close to lows, hopefully. Kim Wiley, what's up? Jack Hamilton, all right. Go pass out, man. Like the new title. Thank you, sir. Kilvy Homer, what's going on, man? All right, dude, good peeps in here. Lots of peeps I haven't seen in a while coming back in. That's awesome, guys. Thank you. Thanks for the support, as always. And so many of you guys are members either here or on Patreon. And if you've been looking for more, you can get a free membership for the first month. Try it at no risk. Get in the members' lives, which will be this Wednesday, last Wednesday, every Wednesday night, and get in that Discord where we talk stocks and politics and share memes and just fun stuff all day long, 24/7. That thing is going. Lots of great conversations, friendships growing, all that stuff. Get into that by clicking on the link in the description. Get that free link to Patreon. The Patreon links to Discord, Mac. So if you get in Patreon, get the free membership for a month and then $5 a month. After that, you can get into the Discord. All right. I actually put a special post up in the members today too. Just a little blog of some thoughts I had while I was at the lake this weekend. So, there'll be some extra stuff. And eventually, once my schedule settles, I plan to do some classes like I did last year, where I did the 16-part theology class on Understand the Whole Bible. And then I did about 10 wealth business classes. I talked about AI. I taught you how to market with AI, build a business in an hour using AI and online business in an hour. So I did a bunch of classes like that in Patreon. They're still there at the $10 tier. And if you want access to those, and then I will be doing more eventually. So great time to join, get that free month. And if you're watching on X where I can't see you, thanks for watching. You can go to my pinned post on my profile and get that link. Okay. I got one more thing I wanted to share from Trump today that just made me laugh. And then we're going to get into the news, but this is just hilarious. I just cannot imagine being one of his cabinet members and being a part of Trump's calls and check-ins like this. But this is absolutely hilarious.
Do you plan to get some priorities that the administration passed, or are you working on that?
I mean, we have full support from the president. He wants this done. He promised to make America healthy again, and he's going to do that. He called me last night. He calls me 3 or 4 times a week and says, "Where are you? Why are people healthier yet?" And I'm sorry. He's keeping me under pressure.
Calls me 3 or 4 times a week. Why are people healthy again? I love that. That's so good. Okay. All right. But let's get on to the news. That's why you guys really tune in. You don't want to just sit here hearing me laugh. That's why you're not on Twitch watching people just watch TV and then laugh at it and show their boobs, all that stuff. No, you come here for the hard news with a little flavor to it. All right, tonight, guys, the Texas redistricting thing's going down, and it's a big freaking deal. This is what everybody's talking about the last few days. This is basically a major battle going on between the Republicans and Democrats right now. And why? Because it might seal the fate of the House early in the midterms. In other words, this redistricting is such a big deal. It could basically lock up the midterms for the Republicans early. Because the seats would be so locked in, unless there's just a major with reversal. But there's not going to be, because the Democrats are at their all-time lows in approval and favorability. So because of that, this redistricting is massive, and the Democrats see the writing on the wall. They already know their chance of getting the House back is very low, despite the fact that, Trump's had his controversies, and not that I have any real problems with what he's been doing. In fact, I've loved 99.9% of it. The fact is that there are some people, the libertarians, the neoconservatives, the Israel tards, they all found reasons to kind of like wean off their support. Now that there's not this big bad liberal Democrat, socialist, communist in their faces that they have to worry about, they're like, okay, now we can turn on Trump because we got him in there. And now, now we don't have to worry about communism. We just have to worry about, Trump not being perfect in our eyes. We're going to run him through our idealist purity tests. And because he's failing in those areas, he's not perfect for them, that, there's people turn on him. And that's just normal politics. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is, even though like so many things are trending in the right direction, but that's okay. But because of that, if the Democrats played it smart and they actually weren't just collapsing themselves, they would have a chance at getting the House back. The Senate is way out there. They have like no chance of getting the Senate, but they'd have a small chance at the House. And if everything went right, they could get the House back. And they know this until this comes up, this redistricting plan of Texas and Ohio for sure going to redistrict. The question is, how many more will? And so let's get into this. This post says, if Florida and Texas both redistrict, the 2026 map starts off with the GOP already having a 1-seat majority in the House. Now, what that means is that their starting point is that they'll have 216 seats. It's 218 to have the House. My bad. 218 seats considered safe. In other words, they are so Republican that they basically don't see any chance of them losing them. That's what a safe seat is. And then you go into the toss-ups, which would probably be like 10 to 20 seats. And so the Republicans could end up with a 20-seat majority if they sweep. But safe means the Democrats have a major uphill battle to try and get the House. It says this does not include the inevitable GOP redistricting on Ohio, too, which will likely net them an additional 2 seats. Nor does it include the potential redrawing in Missouri or Indiana or any of the other 18 toss-up districts scattered across the country. This is massive. Potential redrawing Missouri and Indiana. We already know Texas and Ohio are going to do it, and Florida could be too. And then you throw in Missouri and Indiana. All these red states are starting to play the game Democrats have been playing for a long time, which is gerrymander the hell out of our states. Illinois, absolutely monstrously gerrymandered. Maryland, another one. Massachusetts. You go down the list. It's ugly. California. And so Republicans have never played this game because they've always been afraid of being considered the bad guys. They've been afraid of the media saying, "Oh, you big bad Republicans, you're racist." And Republicans before Trump, as soon as you threw the racist word at them, Republicans would cower and do anything. They'd get on all fours and bark like a dog just so you wouldn't call them racist. Republicans were the weakest people you could ever imagine. It was a miracle, an absolute miracle that Republicans held power at all the past 40 years, the way they were acting. They were so weak. And the Democrats won't care. Democrats don't care because they knew they had media on their side. Nobody could talk back to them. They knew that they had all they held the microphone basically. Okay. And by holding the microphone, they controlled the narrative. Well, no more. And Trump finally gave the Republicans a backbone. It says for Democrats to flip the House, they would have to gerrymander California, Maryland, and New York. And depending on the final maps we see in Ohio, Missouri, and Indiana, not even that may be enough for the Dems to flip back the House. Why would that not be enough? Well, because California, Maryland, and New York are already gerrymandered. They might be able to squeeze out a seat or two, but it's not going to be enough. And on top of that, California, Maryland, and New York all face serious legal challenges, state constitutional challenges. Their time for redistricting isn't on the books right now. So they'll have to challenge it in the courts. They'll have to take it to their voters in the case of California. Because in California, they have a constitutional amendment where they're not allowed to redistrict. The party is not. It's a board, and they only do it so many years. Well, again, for California, that means they would have to either have the people do a special election, have the people vote in a new constitutional amendment, which California passes constitutional amendments like candy, handing out candy, because their state law allows the voters to just vote them in. So it's not that big a deal to have a constitutional amendment in California, but still. Yeah, but in order for Gavin Newsom to go against that without a special election, he'd have to go to the courts, and that's not going to happen. So this is what we're looking at as safe, and with the Republicans if they redistrict Florida and Texas with these new seats. And this is before Ohio, Missouri, and so forth. 218 to 197 with 20 toss-ups. That's massive. So Democrats, of course, are freaking out. And of course, one of the reasons they're freaking out is one of their babies, Jasmine Crockett, the hood rat, says the new U.S. House map in Texas will draw her out of her district. Woo! Hallelujah. That's some of the best news out there. This woman is so ridiculously stupid. She's actually clever in a evil kind of way. But she's wealthy. She came from a family of wealth, private school, you name it. And then as soon as she becomes elected, she goes hood rat, ghetto girl. I'm going to be Democrat, play the base. And just seeing her gone, she's a rising star in the party. And that tells you how far gone the party is when she's like considered the next AOC. But she's also dumb as a box of rocks. as Scott Adams describes here in this fantastic little clip of Jasmine Crockett.
Of Jasmine Crockett, who is only famous for being so dumb, which is funny. She doesn't know that, but that, you know,
you don't know you're dumb when you're really dumb. that's what makes you even dumber. That's great.
If all Republicans ignored her, she would have no attention at all.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason that Republicans don't ignore her is not because she's a worthy opponent. It's because she's amusingly stupid. And she was recently on MSNBC, and she was talking about ID mandates for mail-in ballots. And she said,
so unfortunately, we've seen our numbers fall now that they have these voter restrictions in place.
To which I say, you're not supposed to say that in public. If there were fewer mail-in ballots because ID was required, that would sort of suggest that you used to have maybe, potentially, some fake voters and fake ballots.
Exactly.
So you're not supposed to say that.
She outed them. That's because Texas just got ruled that their voter ID was still going to be enforced for mail-in ballots, which is excellent. So Texas Democrats, knowing that this is going to happen, that they're going to pass these new seats for Republicans, gerrymander their map, get +5 Republican seats. Well done, by the way, Greg Abbott and Republicans in Texas. That is how we win. We fight every legal way. We don't care. That's how it's got to be from now on. And the reason is because Democrats are willing to do stuff like this. I mean, how the hell do you get away with this? Look at this. This is before the redistricting. This is Democratic district in Texas. Okay, Austin right here. And then just look how they had to draw this thing. San Antonio to Austin. They go down the 35, which I've driven many times. How is this a district? What do these people over here in South Austin have with to talk to about in Eastern San Antonio? What are the, what's the likelihood that they are all think of the same problems, same issues? I mean, Austin and San Antonio are over an hour apart. And I got to tell you, I've lived in both. People in Austin are much different than people in San Antonio. And I get they drew this to get the votes, but you're supposed to be representative of an area of like a people group that has something kind of, the founding fathers, the way they designed it is like you were supposed to represent an area that would have similar issues, similar concerns. And yet this is what the Democrats did. And they call us the crooks for gerrymandering. I mean, just look at this. It's insane. And here's another great example in Maryland. Look at this district. This is a Democratic district in Maryland. And this is what they had to do to make a safe Democratic district. You want to talk about illegal. You want to talk about thuggery and crookery. This is This is one of the most insane things I've ever seen. The only thing connecting it is like a little strip right here. This one's not even connecting really. There's a road right there. That's how is this? It's like, how is this held up by courts? It's a craziness. And so they're getting mad that Republicans are fighting back. And the Republicans aren't even being this crazy. They're just, they're playing games a little bit. I'm not pretending we're not. I mean, if the Democrats are going to do this, we have to fight fire with fire in order to keep winning. But just absolutely insane. Chris G, what's up, brother? Thank you. I appreciate the compliment. He says, I'm looking good. Chris G, I went to the gym and lifted weights today for the first time in 5 years. So I'm working on it, bro. Says it's inspiring to see the pro-capitalist movement over the last 12 months in the U.S. Praying we sort ourselves up. We are praying for Canada, brother. That's what happened to Pierre Poilievre up there to lose a seat. That's crazy. Yeah, this is insane. This is insane. So this is how we fight fire with fire. But meanwhile, Texas Democrats don't like it. So the Texas Democrats today, in order to break quorum so that the House could not meet, in Texas you have to have a quorum, which means you have to have the majority of members there in order to vote on issues so you can pass things. This is state law in Texas. And so the Democrats have done this once before. A few years ago, I think it was over the abortion law in Texas. I could be wrong about that. I was living in Texas last time this happened. But they did this once before. They all took off from the state, ran away from their duty in order to avoid the vote because they know the vote will go down a way they'll lose. And this prohibits the House from meeting because of the quorum law. So the Texas Democrats fled their state in a $47 million ERJ-170 jet Embraer. This jet cost $17,000 per hour to operate. That means the flight to Chicago, they flew to Illinois, of all places, cost nearly $100,000. Texas Republicans need to launch emergency investigation who paid for this seditious stunt. So here's the Democrats flying up to Illinois. And in response to this, thankfully, Greg Abbott is not playing games. He got the Texas House to pass a motion to issue arrest warrants for the Democrats fleeing the state. And Abbott declared that if they weren't there by 4 p.m. today, he would send this out. So this is a big deal. It's a big effing deal. So much so that Republicans and Democrats are willing to fight over prison, over jail time. And the other thing is that Abbott is going to the courts and now asking the courts to allow him to unseat these Democrats. In other words, to make it so they are no longer in the House, that they, by Texas law, if they refuse to do their duty, they can be removed as members of the House. So it's possible, if the courts side with Abbott on this, that every Democrat who took part in this could not only face jail time, but they could also completely lose their membership in the House of Representatives, Texas House of Representatives, and be replaced. This is awesome. I'm so glad Texas is fighting back. This is not how we used to do things. MAGA, again, Trump has completely changed the Republican Party, and Texas is showing us how. Texas and Florida with DeSantis are showing us how MAGA does things now, and it's wonderful to see that we are fighting back. And then I saw this on Illinois. Very interesting about Illinois. J.B. Pritsker, who's the governor of Illinois, the big fat slob, looks like Jabba the Hutt. His cousin, Tom Pritsker, was named in the Epstein docs saying he forced young children to have sex with him. And this guy, Pritsker, made a deal with these Democrats, come up to Illinois. Isn't that crazy? This is how they all are hanging out together. I mean, it's disgusting, but this is who the Democrats are. And this is why I don't care if we play rough. We got to play rough. We got to take them down. We got to end this insanity. And yes, we purge our own. We go after our own as well. Of course we do. But that's what MAGA has been all about from the beginning. We've been cutting out the Republicans since Trump first got in, since they first showing who they are. I mean, we just got to do this. We purge the Republicans, and now obviously not fully. It's still happening, but we've been doing it. And now we got to purge the Democrats. But the only way to purge the Democrats is to fight by they're the ones who broke the rules first. They're the ones who broke norms and traditions. Obviously, I'm not advocating for anything illegal, but you do everything legal. No matter how crazy you gotta get, you do everything legal to beat these people, because these people are sick. They're absolutely sick. Texas Lone Star, what's up, man? He says Texas House Dems have broken quorum 5 times in 1979, twice in 03. 03, interesting. I wonder what was happening in 03. 21, and now 2025. Wow. Crazy. Kasink says, anybody see the new meme with Governor Abbott and Crockett? I have not. Can you send it to me on X? If I see it in time, I will gladly share it. So speaking about fighting back against the Democrats, we got some interesting news today from the DOJ. Let's listen here.
Fox News can confirm that Attorney General Pam Bondi today signed an order directing an unnamed U.S. federal prosecutor to take evidence to a grand jury relating to an alleged conspiracy to tie then 2016 candidate Donald Trump to the country of Russia. Now, Fox News reviewed the one-page order just hours ago signed by the Attorney General. A source familiar with the probe confirms this as well, while a DOJ spokesperson declined to comment on this report of an investigation. Fox is told Attorney General Bondi is taking the referrals from Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, quote, very seriously. The spokesperson says that Bondi believes there is, quote, clear cause for deep concern, end quote, and a need for the next steps.
Ooh.
Now, this move comes just a couple of weeks after the Director of National Intelligence, you see her right there, Tulsi Gabbard, sent a criminal referral to the Justice Department regarding what she says proves there was a conspiracy to undermine Trump's candidacy and later his first term in office. Now, to be clear today, there are no charges that have been filed, no indictments. This is incredibly early in the process. What we have here is taking evidence the Justice Department believes it has to a grand jury to secure an eventual indictment or indictments. We don't know exactly where the grand jury will meet. We don't know who will go before the grand jury, and that's by design, because grand juries determine if there's enough evidence to indict, and grand juries are secretive in the American legal system, so it's normal not to know all of the answers. Again, the DOJ declining on any comment regarding this investigation. But, Will, big news, this was signed by the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, today to take this evidence of an alleged conspiracy to a grand jury with the hope to get an indictment or multiple indictments.
Here we go. Grand jury time, baby. So Bondi is following through. Tulsi Gabbard delivered the goods. She sent it over to the DOJ. The DOJ reviewed it, and now we have the official petition for a grand jury to go through this and go over the criminality of this, decide whether or not it's time to issue indictments to go after Obama, Brennan, Comey, Clapper, Clinton. This is going to get awesome. It is in motion now. And before you get blackpilled being like, oh, DC courts, no, check this out. John Solomon reporting today.
This is a major development. We told you last week that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, had given permission for a strike force to begin. That's a very specific tool the Justice Department uses on major conspiracies. And we told you then we would know it was getting serious when the grand jury jumped into action. We now know that a grand jury will be impaneled most likely.
We know it's getting serious when a grand jury comes around. Oh, man, here we go.
My sources are telling me it could be in Florida, where the raid of President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home happened. So that is the very latest. You can check it out at Just News. We're going to have a whole lot more on that.
The grand jury just might be in Florida. Do you know who Trump just pushed the Senate to confirm before they went on recess? Prosecutor in Florida, special prosecutor in Florida. Friends, it's getting heated. It's getting heated. Florida is going to be very favorable to Trump. Florida, that DeSantis won by over 20 points in 2022, his reelection bid. Florida, that has gone so far red, it's now 2 million Republicans registered over Democrats. Florida, that has completely changed the map. Florida, that once was purple and now is so red that within 2 hours of the election, it was counted and called for Trump. The third biggest state in our nation, population-wise. Friends, this means that the people going on to that grand jury are going to likely be anywhere from 60 to 70% MAGA. We have an excellent opportunity to see Clinton, Obama, Clapper, Brennan, all gone after for criminal indictments now. This is really happening. It's no longer just fun. It's no longer just conspiracies. It's no longer, and listen, credit needs to be given to Bondi here. I know I keep getting a lot of people who like so hard on Bondi because of the Epstein stuff. I get it. I understand her communication stuff, not great, but I'm telling you, this is major. She's following through. She's holding up her end of the bargain as Attorney General. She's actually going for the setup to get the arrest, guys. This is so massive. And this is the biggest story in the world right now. If this goes to arrest, this will be the biggest political story, at least of the modern age, at least of the last 100 years, probably since Kennedy died. That would have been the last biggest political story that's bigger than this. As if we see a former president, I know we already saw Trump get arrested, but if we see the former president get arrested because he basically used intelligence agencies to undermine our election while he was still in administration, to undermine a sitting president, Obama could be seeing prison if they do this right. Now, I know it's a long shot. Don't get me wrong. There's immunity stuff. There's a whole lot that's going to go through here. But don't you think Trump and the team know that? They know what they're doing. They would not be taking this to the grand jury if they didn't think something big was going to come of this. I guarantee it. So we could see the former CIA director go to prison, former FBI director go to prison, former director of national intelligence go to prison. Are you kidding me? Former Secretary of State go to prison. This is massive, massive. And I feel very confident that if it is official, the grand jury is held in Florida, I feel very official we're going to get indictments. And it's so buckle up, my friends. This Russiagate thing is just beginning, in my opinion. What's up, Roger? Good to see you, man. Kessig says, gotta love karma. Absolutely. Roger, it's hard to keep up with the MAGA headlines these days. So much freaking winning. So much. It's unbelievable. So let's see here. Yeah, let's do this. I was going to show some of this real quick just to show you guys how much Obama was lying about this on what is this? This is an hour-long interview with NPR. I'll play a couple clips of this just to show you guys how Obama was lying to everybody's faces back then about the Trump stuff.
Did the Russian hack of the Democratic National Committee and other targets actually affect the results of the election in your view?
There's no doubt that it contributed to an atmosphere.
But I just, even right there, I just got to stop and say, it's been a while since I watched Obama on anything. I can't stand the man. I think he's the worst thing as a political aspect to ever happen to our country. I think he was completely designed and bred and groomed to destroy our country from within, to do everything to undermine our traditions that are good, the strength of our convictions, our patriotism, our values, our morals, and our rights. I believe he was sent, and his goal was to do all of that, and he did accomplish to some extent. I mean, look at how far things deteriorated once Obama came in. From then until Trump got in 2017, and then again with the 4 years of Biden, just a deterioration of our society. It sped up so much. But man, the dude is smooth. And again, it's just that whole Manchurian Candidate thing. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that movie, but the whole idea of somebody groomed to say the perfect answers, to carry themselves in a way that makes it very difficult to find the flaws. But just like in one of my favorite lines in Lord of the Rings, where he's like asking about Aragorn when he first sees him, he's all muddy and dirty and he's guiding the hobbits along. And he's like, can we trust this guy? And Frodo says, like, I think an agent of the enemy would look fairer but feel fouler. And that's how I've always felt about Obama. He's so smooth, but man, there's just something dark about this man. I mean, you can look at his eyes, look at his face as he talks. But man, that answer he just gave was very smooth.
In which the only focus for weeks at a time, months at a time, were Hillary's emails, the Clinton Foundation, political gossip surrounding the DNC, and that whole swirl that ended up dominating the news meant that, number one, issues weren't talked about a lot in the coverage. Huge policy differences.
Here.
The CIA assessment that this was done purposely to improve Trump's chances. And my only point was that shouldn't be treated as a blockbuster because that was the worst kept secret in this town. Everybody understood that. It was reported on. It's a pretty clear inference that people would draw and did draw that this was helping the Trump campaign.
And now we know that he was told, in fact, that the exact opposite of what he just said. And yet he made the decision to keep going with it and overturn all that intelligence and lie to the American people. I hope this man gets put away for the rest of his life. I'm sorry. And I'm so disappointed by a lot of media right now that is reporting this. And I don't mean the liberal media. Of course, I expect that from them. But there's good journalists out there reporting on this who are saying, like, there's nothing here. That what's the crime? And it's like, are you serious? What is the crime? Undermining our election, undermining a president of a sovereign nation that you swore to uphold the Constitution of? There, no crime? Are you kidding me? You guys tried to jail Trump, tried to ruin his life, take away his fortune over something not even close to the same, over a riot gone bad, a protest gone bad on J6, where, I mean, we're not going to relitigate Gen 6, but you guys get my point. Trump barely did anything and they tried to ruin his life. And now we're supposed to act as if Obama, because was the chosen one, somehow we should just, give him a slap on the wrist, say, well, he played dirty politics and that's it. No, I want prison for this man. I want him to be put away for good. And Hillary the same. I want an example to be made out of these people. In biblical times, they did, it was time of kings, and especially in the Old Testament. Now, I'm not advocating for a lot of the craziness of Old Testament politics. However, the point is that if a new king came in when the kingdom was in bad shape, when they've turned away from God and they've run themselves into the ground and the people are just tearing each other up, the new king would come in and he would eliminate all traces of all the evil. So he would kill all the priests of the false religions. They would tear down any worship centers, this false religion. They clean house. So basically, nothing was left of the old stuff. And if the king had been evil, they didn't just kill him, they killed their families. Now, I don't agree with that. That's not modern days. However, my point is this: when a former president is egregiously corrupt and trying to destroy our nation and does stuff that is this big a deal. And by the way, for anybody who's thinking like, oh, this isn't that big a deal, this is it, this is all you guys got, more will come out. No, this is the beginning. You understand? We've been right about this for years. Myself, many others online. We've all been saying this for years. We've known about this corruption. We've known Obama, Clinton, and their team were all behind it. We've known this for years, and we're being validated on that. But we also know there's a whole lot more. And this is the beginning of it coming out. This is the beginning. We're starting to see where this is going. And trust me, if Obama gets off with anything less than execution, he's getting it off easy. The man is completely treasonous, and Hillary just the same, and so on and so forth. And the thing is this: you have to go after these people, whether it's prison for life or something. At least make it very serious, whatever the consequence is. You have to, because if you do not, the odds of it happening again are much higher. You have to make an example. You have to show the people that there is a consequence, a severe consequence for breaking your constitutional oath, for subverting the voters of the nation, the people of this nation. We're a nation of the people, by the people, for the people. So when you subvert the people, you're treasonous, or at the best seditious. Both have severe consequences. If those consequences aren't followed through, well, what's to stop somebody else from doing it? You know why the death penalty is effective, whether you agree with it or not? There's no denying it's effective, although people do try. They try to deny it. However, it is. And the reason why it's effective is because if the death penalty is regularly given out, you have to think twice, triple times, quadruple time if you want to carry out a crime, because you might forfeit your life. And so the question is not, am I willing to go to prison for a while where, yeah, it might suck, but at least I'll have a bed, be fed, free healthcare. And a lot of prisoners think that way. That's why the recidivism rate's so high. They'll go back to that over facing real life again. But if it's a death penalty, then people are much less likely to keep committing crimes. They just are. And obviously that's extreme circumstances. You got to have reasons for it, so on and so forth. I'm not an advocate for crazy situations and everything. But some countries, not ours, some countries have the death penalty for drunk driving. That if you're caught driving drunk, you get the death penalty. Yeah, there's no drunk driving in that country. I'm just saying. So again, that's why it's effective. I said all that to say this: we have to be effective. This is why in the old days, when kings came in, they'd wipe out all the past, because it's effective. You have to set an example. Do not cross the people. And the whole reason we elect a president, it's not so we have a king. It's so that we have somebody to enforce the rules, the laws of our nation. That's the entire point of a president. It really is. And to bring that to other countries, to deal with other countries. That's it. That's what it comes down to. Lochtefeld on Rumble says, please include Susan Rice in your list of Democrats. Absolutely. Susan Rice is horrible. Lochtefeld also says, criticism of Obama is always categorized as racist if you're white. Yeah, in the old Republican Party, that's why they want to criticize him. But we're no longer that. We are now the MAGA, pre-censored Republican Party. Stephen Cromer says, if they determine Obama has immunity, they should make him testify in Congress with immunity. He can't take the fifth. Already they're talking about it. What's up, Shogun? Candace reminding everybody, if you don't mind, please take a second, hit that like button. Thank you so much. Please, guys, if you don't mind, take 1 second, hit that like button. And if you're new, maybe subscribe if you like the content you're seeing and want to continue getting it. Thank you so much. Set those notifications as well. Strayhorn says they conjured up false intel 100%. Alan says, wasn't there something about Trump being the last president? Well, yes and no. There's an old book written called The Last President. It's like a 120 years old book. And the main character of the book is called Baron Trump. And anyways, that's where people get that last president thing. I think, I don't think this is the end. I think this is the beginning. I really do, for America in many ways, at least for an era ahead of us that's going to last for, a while, several decades, 100 years more or something. I do. I think we're heading into something that's going to be a much better time for our country. If like the 1800s were like the growth of America from the Revolutionary War till 1913, that was the growth of America. If that was A New Hope, Star Wars 1, then from 1913 to now was Return of the Jedi. Empire Strikes Back. Okay, the government was growing bigger. It was encroaching on our freedoms more. It was erasing our wealth. It was chasing down dissenters. It was, just ruining the American dream for the last 100 some odd years. And now we're in Return of the Jedi, baby. This is the fight. We're overcoming the empire, and we're entering a new era. That's how I look at it. And I really actually do think there's some truth to that. And by the way, I did just come up with that complete analogy on the fly. Thank you. You're welcome. I'm here all week, folks. I'm here all week. RK Opal says, once again, couple get indicted, others will start coming forward. This runs very deep. 100% does. Whistleblowers are already coming forward. So absolutely true on that. No words. Sorry, Mark. Bruce Hyman says, Obama measures lizard speak. It's like, Willie, yeah. I mean, yeah, Clinton was very smooth too, but in a different way. Clinton was smooth in a way that like appealed to regular voters. Like you knew that as terrible as Clinton was morally and everything, he was a guy you could have a beer with and have a good time with. Obama is not. Obama's much more sinister. I think the most sinister part of the Clintons is Hillary. Bill is just a terrible human being, but he's a terrible human being in the way that like you might have had a friend in college or high school that was just awful, but they were still a good hang. That's Bill Clinton, kind of like stupid evil. But a great term to like, that's him. Obama is much more coordinated. He's everything. Like he's the scariest kind of bad leader. He really is, because he is very sneaky, very sinister, and very good at disguising it. Whereas Clinton, kind of always knew he was a schmoozer, jerk, but he was excused by it because he was so openly that way. You know what I mean? LMI says, it's no surprise big cities know who the problem repeat offenders are, yet the criminals know they can just rotate through the system, get out. Absolutely. That's because we've designed our system to reward criminals. Toe Cramp, what's up, man? Good to see you. Coding. Isn't that what AI is for now? Anyways, great news on the Obama front. I really think this is heading somewhere. Again, if that grand jury is going to Florida, it's going to be very, very good for us. Okay, so let me close on just a couple other things I noticed today. Bill was just there for the parties. Yeah, I mean, he's power hungry too, but yeah. No, Bill, you know the story, right? Of Bill and Hillary, how they got together. Bill was like the most liked guy on campus. He was, life of the party. Everybody loved him. He was super charismatic. He's a genius in his own way. He's a social genius. Let me put it that way. everybody knows what a brilliant guy he is, how he can remember everybody's name, historical facts. I mean, the guy but yeah, he just wanted to chill. But Hillary was always the politically ambitious one. She wanted to be president. She wanted to rule the nation. She wanted to advance the feminist agenda, the socialist democratic agenda, basically, which is another word for communism. She wanted to push all that forward. And so she saw Bill and she saw, oh my God, this guy is the golden ticket. If I attach myself to him, he's going to be my ticket to get where I want to go. And look what happened. He got her to the White House. Unfortunately for all of us, she is so awful and terrible politically that, and so unlikable that she never could do it on her own. She never could get there on her own. So, thank God for that. And Clinton, again, he just wanted to be liked, which is why before Trump, Clinton was the best Republican president. And I say that jokingly, but it's partially true. The best Republican president we'd had in decades, even better than Reagan in some ways. If you take out the scandal of Clinton and then some of the foreign policy stuff, Clinton ran the country domestically like a Republican. And it's because in 94, they lost big in the midterms, big time. They lost the House, which was the first time in like 40 years the Republicans took the House. Thank you, Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich came in with a contract for America, 100 things we'll do in 100 days, and swept it. Before that, they were trying to get universal health care passed. So they were super liberal the first 2 years of Bill's presidency. The Republicans come in on this new wave Republicans, led by Newt Gingrich. They get Clinton to pass welfare reform. They get him to cut the government spending. They get him to balance the budget. Are you kidding me? We were running budget surpluses at the end of the Clinton administration. So I like to joke that Clinton was the best Republican president in some ways that we'd had in decades, because what he pulled off, he went along with it because he knew the American people liked it and Bill just wanted to be liked. And so when everybody says they love to tout that Bill was a 2-term president for the Democrats, he was well loved, he was very successful, they ended with a surplus. A lot of that's true, but the reason it's true is because all the Republican stuff he did was very popular. And that's how, and Bill did it because he wanted to be liked. NAFTA did suck, but at the time, listen, I hate NAFTA now. But go back to the 90s when NAFTA was pushed through and Clinton signed it. It was considered one of the biggest Republican wins in a very long time. Free trade, North America. We had no idea how bad it was going to be for our country, but we went along with it, and it was touted as just a massive Republican win. And so it wasn't until later, Republicans defended NAFTA all through the Bush presidency, all through the Obama presidency. It wasn't until Trump that we turned and started realizing, actually, some of these crazy Democrats were right about NAFTA. And so all that stuff, terrible. But again, the stuff that Clinton did that was good was all Republican. Ted Williams, how's it going? Anything on MMTLP? Listen, man, I've never been one of the main people on MMTLP. I feel for you people. If there's ever big news I see, I report it, but I don't have any insider track on that. I'm sorry. Roger says NAFTA was solid for its time. Well, no, it wasn't. And, Ross Perot was very against it, to his credit. Thank you, Lochtfeld. NAFTA felt solid for its time. And the reason is this, Roger, is because when NAFTA was passed, you got the immediate benefits of free trade, which is cheaper goods, but the issues with NAFTA that hurt the middle class and started moving our manufacturing overseas and started stalling our wages, all of that was a delayed issue. That takes time to play out. It's just like right now with Trump's tariffs. We're getting the revenue from the tariffs immediately, but what we're not going to see immediately is the manufacturing and stuff. That's going to take time to rebuild here. But the it's actually great we're talking about NAFTA right now, because here was my next thing I was going to pull up. So here's the tariff revenue since Trump implemented in April. Look at July. We just hit a record. But so yeah, when you say NAFTA was good at first, no, it was always terrible. But what happened is you got the benefits first, and the payment for those benefits didn't. The bill came later. Let me put it that way. And it's the same with when we decoupled from gold in 1971, when Nixon got us off the gold standard. Well, the immediate benefit was that people's wages went up, and all like the initial boon of that, the free flow of more capital. The initial boon of that meant everybody at the beginning got more access to buy houses and cars, and they were all excited about all that. But then, as the dollar started, it took time for the dollar to devalue. And so again, all of these things, like the debt system we've created with the corporatism going back to 1913 and the institution of the Fed and the income tax. At the beginning, we get all the benefits. Almost always the benefits are immediate, and the price you pay comes later. Alan Krentz says Hillary was involved with Nixon on Watergate. She was on TV. I know. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Roger says, thank God Trump moved the baseline so far. The writer grandchildren have glorious inheritance. Amen to that. And also their Gen Z is very conservative. And Roger also says, he means our expectations were lower at the time. We were on the decline. Any win felt like a victory. Oh, I understand. Well, were we on a decline? We were in a recession, but we were still going through what Reagan had left us, which Reagan, with his deregulation and everything, he set up the booming economy of the 90s. The recession that Bush 1 had by the end of his term was pretty low and moderate. It wasn't that big a deal, but I understand what you're saying. Kassing says we're ex-union. We didn't like NAFTA from the beginning. Yeah, that would make sense. Unions never were big fans. But you can see the tariffs are back. Trump's winning with the tariffs. We're getting deals left and right, massive deals that people thought were impossible. Listen, this is only going to continue growing as the process of tariffs it's a long-term process. It's taking months. And it's going to take a while for it to all play out, get the deals right, get the tariffs, the right pricing, everything, the right percentages that make sense, that are the most beneficial. That all is going to take time. So I expect this to fully turn around and keep growing the next few years. What's going to be interesting is how much will it grow, and where will we go from there? Trump keeps talking about eliminating the income tax eventually. I know that's right now a pipe dream. That is we're far from that. But I'm starting to believe anything's possible if this continues. Alan Kretz says it's the favorable nation statistics to help move our manufacturing. Favorable nation statistics. What do you mean by that, Alan? Are you talking about drug pricing? That's like most favored nation? All right. Last thing I wanted to share. Actually, two last things I wanted to share to you tonight, guys. This was really interesting. Somebody shared this with me today. I need to research this more. But so this says they're not telling you this, but Paul Atkins, which he's the SEC commissioner, Project Crypto could put entire Wall Street markets on chain. Ripple bought the bridge, Hidden Road, for $1.25 billion. Add RLUSD, add XRP. Trillions in tokenized assets could throw right through their whales. This is the end game. So here's the question. For XRP, if this is true, this could be massive. When he says the end game here, does this also mean that this will blockchain trades and could end naked shorting? If that's true, then Paul Atkins is going to accomplish what we want him to at the SEC. But There's also a lot of skepticism over this. There's a lot of people warning about the bad parts of tokenizing. So this is something to watch very carefully, but for my XRP people, it's huge. Then the last thing I wanted to share was this. This is CNN talking about Trump, and this I just think is a fascinating clip. Watch this.
The Donald Trump administration is arguably the most influential this century, and probably as well dating back a good portion of the last century as well. Love it.
Did you hear that? This is CNN. Trump is the most influential president of this century. So he already ruled out Obama, Biden, and Bush, which to say already that he's more influential than Obama from CNN, my friends, is a massive admission from this network.
Like it, lump it. Trump is remaking in the United States of America. Let's talk about tariffs first, right? There's all this talk that Donald Trump always chickens out when it comes to tariffs. No tacos for Trump. The effective tariff rate, get this, it's 18%, the highest since the FDR administration in the 1930s, up from, get this, just 2% last year. From just 2% last year, we're talking about a level, an effective tariff rate level, get this, 9 times as high this year than last year.
Okay, this is huge. All right. So remember, I love Harry. He's my favorite New York Jew, and he loves the numbers. he loves the numbers. And so he always tells the truth about the numbers on CNN, even if they don't like him to. This is huge. So everybody, again, the whole taco thing, Trump always chickens out. Well, we're already got tariffs up 900% in a year. And that's with him not going through with some of the other tariffs he's talked about. 900%. Now, highest since the 30s. I want us to get back to the 1800s levels before income tax, when we didn't need income tax, when we had so much, and which, by the way, Trump's absolutely right about. In the 1890s, they did form a commission wondering how to spend our money because we had such a surplus. So this is huge. 18%. We're on our way, folks. We're on our way to something massive happening here. And all the economists saying that it's going to fall apart, they've already been proven wrong because that just hasn't happened. Going forward, will they be proven right? I highly doubt it. I think this is unlocking something that has been a mystery to modern economists for 100 years. And I think Trump and his team are going to shock us all with what comes out of this. But anyways, just look at that statistic, though. How massive is that? A 900% increase in 1 year. That he's absolutely right. That really reframes the narrative about this whole taco thing. But again, that's their narrative. And so if you believe it, remember, ask yourself this every single time you hear somebody on MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, even Fox. Anytime it's a mainstream media source, ask yourself, CNBC especially, ask yourself, why am I believing what they're saying? Why should I? And why would I?
But is not just on tariffs, which of course Donald Trump ran on, in which you're seeing a tremendously influential presidency. What about immigration? Of course, Trump ran and has always run on a very hawkish immigration platform. Get this, 2025 net migration in the United States down at least 60% from last year. In fact, we may be heading for the first time in at least 50 years in which we have net negative migration into the United States. And last year, of course, in 2024, the net migration in the U.S. was 2.8 million. This year, we might be talking about negative net migration. My goodness gracious.
Negative net migration for the year. Now, in order to get to where we need to be, we need negative net migration for 4 years. It only took Trump 6 months to get to this point. 6 months. And doing all of that, today is the 1 month anniversary of the One Big Beautiful Bill being passed, okay? He's only for 1 month had the funding he wanted to get this done. Already pulling this off in 6 months. Unbelievable. This, guys, we are living in history right now. We are living in historical times. Your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids are going to be reading about this in history books. You are living through the time, like growing up, the history, we always got fed the most, that had the most details, was always the Revolutionary War, Civil War, World War II. That was it. This is the first time in American history, in the history books, there's going to be so much written because Trump is so transformational. This is going to be the section in history books that's as big as those sections. And we're living it right now. It's unbelievable what we're going through.
Now, of course, this is part of a larger story, as I was mentioning. We're talking about immigration, net migration. We're talking about the effective tariff rate. But get this, how is Donald Trump doing it? Well, he is signing a ton of executive orders. Get this, 180, the most in a year since Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
That's hilarious, by the way, because Democrats look at Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, as like the great one. He is their god. He is the one they put on a pedestal. He, the ushering in the New Deal, basically putting us more on this socialist path than any other president in history. Got 4 terms, won World War II. He is the Democrats' great god. He is the great Democratic president. He did a lot of good things as well. Don't get me wrong, but old school Democrats weren't nearly as crazy as new Democrats. Just overall an incredible president, good or bad. But the point is he's their great one. And they're always like, Trump is such a dictator, blah, blah, blah. Well, FDR, their great one, did the same thing, which is very interesting.
Oh my goodness, you have to go back to the first half of the 20th century, the last century, and to make a comparison, Joe Biden signed, get this, just 77 during his entire first year. And we're only a little bit in August so far, and Donald Trump making history with 180 executive orders signed so far this year. So that's why I said that in my mind, Donald Trump is the most influential president of this century and probably dating back a good portion of the last century. That is because he is remaking the country in terms of tariffs. He is remaking the country in terms of net migration, and he is remaking the country in terms of how much policy changes he's putting through in executive orders. As I said, it truly is history making. Love it, like it, or lump it. Donald Trump.
You hear why he says a good portion of last century? Because he's saying that Trump is basically, he's not saying it, but he is saying it. Again, because Harry is a Democrat. He's basically saying Trump is the most influential president since FDR, which, you could make a good argument for. I don't think FDR is as good a president as Trump by any means, not even close. But FDR, New Deal, oversaw the Great Depression, got a lot of stuff built in our country, Hoover Dam, what's it called? Mount Rushmore, et cetera, et cetera. Many, many projects across the country, obviously World War II. So yeah, I mean, America changed on FDR's watch. Hugely influential president, like him or not. And so he's saying that Trump is the most influential president since FDR. He said it without saying it. And that's what he means. So, I mean, and you could make that case. I think Trump's going to be the most influential president since Lincoln when he's done. I think when he's done, it's going to be Washington, Lincoln, Trump, and those will be the big 3. I think we're already on our way there. And it's incredible to me what we're seeing with even the liberals are starting to see it. And CNN, to its credit, puts Harry Enten on, who can't help himself. When he looks at numbers, he's just telling it how it is. Alan, before I go, says favorable nation treaty giving tax advantages for our own manufacturing overseas countries. Well, that should definitely be repealed. Roger says Harry's our gift. Kessing says Bill Maher, Chris Cuomo, Stephen A. Smith eating crow about Trump. Yeah, but at least most of them are admitting it. Even Bill Maher admitted he was wrong about tariffs so far. Roger says, wait until the military joins ICE and deporting numbers. Oh, amen. Trump did save our country, Donna. And not only did he save our country, which is good enough for one president, he's also rebuilding the foundation of our country. So we're going to have, I truly believe, a golden age and a great few decades ahead of us. Can't wait for Vance to get in power as the CIA. Oh, yes, you can wait and enjoy this time. Enjoy this time because Vance will have his own issues. Let's let Trump do what Trump needs to do to set up Vance to be even more, not more influential, but I think Vance is going to oversee. I think Vance is going to oversee an economy and a dominance of American exceptionalism reborn that most of us never thought we'd see in our lifetimes. I really do. Trader says FY July BLS data for 73,000 jobs includes job loss to deportations. Yes, it does. I'm glad you brought that up. I don't think I've been live since those job numbers came out. The job numbers that came out that were so unfavorable, that didn't look good, it was because of migrations out of the country. In fact, almost all the job losses were to foreigners, illegal immigrants, and almost all of the job gains, actually 99% of the job gains, were to citizens. Trump, and not just that, private citizens. They were not government jobs. So our private economy is healing. And the jobs data, you have to sift the numbers right now because immigration, Trump's deportations, I should say, are skewing all the numbers. So everything right now is being affected by migration in a major way. So for a while, we're not going to be able to trust numbers at face value, even with Trump in there, because the real story is going to be affected so much by what's going on with deportations. Shogun, you're running. Texas says, I like Vance a lot. I'll wait for 3.5 more years of Trump win big. Amen to that. Jasmine Crockett, Tiffany Henyard, and AOC should make their own ghetto version of Bring It On. Thanks for that, Brett. I love it. Shogun, I'm in your cabinet. Okay. Brett says, if you've been watching for more than 5 minutes, hit the like button. Thanks in advance. Thank you so much. Yeah, guys, before you leave, appreciate it if you'd hit that like. We're going to end right now the way we always end, in a prayer. But listen, so please hit that like, hit that subscribe if you're new. I greatly appreciate the support. I am a regularly shadow banned channel. They regularly demonetize my videos. That's why this is pre-censored nightly from now on, because I'm often censored, although it's in a form of shadow banning. Anyways, listen, guys, Trump's taking out the trash. The redistricting, we got to pray it goes through in Texas, Florida, Ohio, and anywhere else that wants to do it, to seal up the House and give Trump a historic win, because very few presidents keep the House in their first midterm. It's very rare. So we got to pray that happens. And we got to thank God that this grand jury is going forward and that it does lead to indictments. I believe it will. I really do. I'm getting more and more excited and white pilled by the day on all this stuff. So anyways, let's end in a prayer, because we need it. Our country needs it. And God knows President Trump needs it. So Heavenly Father, thank you for today. God bless these amazing people and these fighters, these people who care about their lives, their country. And thank you for their support and for this channel. Father, we bless President Trump and his cabinet, his team, God, all around him. We bless them with protection, with wisdom and boldness to carry through everything that needs to be done for this country. We pray for justice, that this grand jury, Lord, would be truly a grand jury in Florida or somewhere else favorable, God, to justice, to real justice, and that we actually see the things that most people have said, even those on the right, even those supporters of Trump have said they'll never believe it could happen. I pray that the rest of this year we keep seeing things that we never thought would happen, that are too good to be true. That's my prayer, too good to be true, as what I believe the first 6 months of Trump's presidency have already been. So we pray for justice. We pray for our country to turn around in major ways, that people would prosper more and thrive. And we thank you for that. So bless these people here with their own prosperity and thriving, Lord, in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. Love you guys. Thank you for watching. Please hit that like on the way out. And I will see you all tomorrow night for more winning as usual. Take care, guys. Good night.